In the city of Incheon, Jang Hyuk, a fat man who had recently secured a permanent position as an engineer, found himself in a place far from celebration, a hospital bed. Diagnosed with hepatitis B, he was now confined to a shared room, treated with quiet suspicion by nearly everyone around him. The disease itself wasn't airborne. It could only be passed through bodily fluids. But that didn't stop people from treating him like he was dangerous. Even his own parents, gripped by fear, had only visited once. They kept their distance, barely staying long enough to offer a few words, and never came back. His friends didn't show up at all. They only sent him texts. The other patients in the room made sure to ask the nurses and doctors to always keep the curtain closed around his bed, like a quarantine barrier, even though it wasn't necessary. In that sea of isolation, there was one unexpected source of comfort, a nurse named Doon. She treated him like a human being. She spoke gently, checked in on him regularly, and even once while adjusting his tapped a kiss on the bag as a little gesture of encouragement. It wasn't flirtation, just warmth. The kind of warmth he hadn't felt from anyone else in a long time. One night, unable to sleep, Jang Hyuk wandered out of his room and walked the empty hospital corridors. Near the stairs, he found Doon smoking a cigarette alone. She looked exhausted. Her uniform sagged at the shoulders, and her face was drawn from overwork. Jang Hyuk noticed a ring on her finger and asked if she was married. She chuckled and said no, it was just a graduation ring. Then she sighed, admitting how lucky he was to have a permanent position. Unlike him, she was just a contract nurse, constantly rotating shifts, always fatigued. The cigarette wasn't something she enjoyed. It was just a desperate attempt to stay awake. Their quiet moment was interrupted by the strict head nurse, who spotted the cigarette. Without hesitation, Doon tossed it and pretended it belonged to Jang Hyuk. She gave him a fake scolding right there on the spot before quickly fleeing, leaving him confused but strangely amused. The next morning, she came by to thank him for covering for her. As they talked, she suddenly reached over and took some food from his tray without thinking. When she realized what she'd done, she froze, then apologized profusely and left the room flustered. But not before tossing a warning to the other patients not to bully Jang Hyuk anymore. Not while she was around. Later that evening, they shared a quiet drink by the vending machines. It wasn't anything fancy, just one of those small, quiet moments that helped the days pass. When Doon came by his bed again, she looked so utterly drained that she briefly fell asleep right next to him. As the days passed, her exhaustion only worsened. She quit both smoking and caffeine cold turkey, and it hit her hard. One day, when she caught Jang Hyuk with a cigarette, she snapped. She scolded him harshly, then stomped the pack flat with visible frustration, not just at him, but at the stress that was eating away at her. So Jang Hyuk began doing small things to ease her burdens. He left little notes of encouragement on the screen of his phone where she could see them. He stole expensive snacks from his roommate's trays to share with her. He cleared a spot on his bed for her to nap undetected, waking her gently before anyone else could notice. Sometimes he would even fake symptoms so she could take him out for a walk in the wheelchair. And once they were out of view, they'd switch places so she could sit and breathe. In the weeks that follow, Doon shows more small kindnesses, bright stickers on Jang Hyuk's bandages, quick smiles during rounds, a quiet energy that makes the ward feel less lonely. One afternoon, though, he jokes that there is no freaking way he has a girlfriend, and the phrase hits a nerve. Doon stiffens, mutters that she hates that kind of language, and walks off. She is also careful to keep their growing friendship out of sight. Whenever he approaches while she is surrounded by colleagues, she turns distant and pretends not to see him. A few days later, the doctors announce that Jang Hyuk is well enough to be discharged. Instead of celebrating, he feels an unexpected sadness. Once he leaves, he may never see Doon again. On his last evening, he slips down the hall, takes a small bouquet from a room that now belongs to a deceased patient, and waits for Doon so he can hand it to her. The nurse who appears, however, is the strict head nurse, not Doon, and the moment slips away. Discharge morning arrives. He searches the corridors, but Doon is nowhere in sight. His parents arrive to collect him, full of relief, but he barely listens. Over dinner that night, his friends tease him, saying the kindly nurse was probably a fever dream. Jang Hyuk refuses to believe it. He returns to the hospital, fails to locate her, and, in desperation, sneaks into the records room to glimpse her file. He manages to memorize only half of her phone number before he is chased out. Back home, he dials every possible combination that starts with those digits, collecting wrong numbers and irritated voices, until, finally, Dune answers. She explains she took sick leave for a few days, which is why she vanished. Relieved, Jang Hyuk blurts out that he likes her. She pauses, then invites him to visit her apartment. He borrows his father's car, drives straight across the city, and arrives flustered. Their conversation is awkward, tentative, but when Dune admits she feels lonely, she asks him to stay. That night, they fell asleep in a gentle embrace. At dawn, she wakes to find he has changed a burnt-out bulb and laid out breakfast. The quiet thoughtfulness makes her eyes fill with tears. She thanks him with a quick kiss, stopping him gently when he leans in for more, explaining that for now, it isn't like that. From then on, they spend much of their free time together. Jang Hyuk brings late-night snacks to the hospital, waits with his father's car to drive her home, takes out her trash, and simply sits with her on stressful evenings. He does notice one change. Her graduation ring is missing. She says she lost it and shrugs the question away. He talks about finding his own apartment someday, promising that when he does, she can quit the job that wears her down. She answers only by hugging him tightly. Not long after, someone Dune knows gives her a vacation voucher for Jeju Island. She invites Jang Hyuk along, and he accepts without hesitation. When they go shopping for their trip, Dune tries to make it fun by picking out matching couple shirts, but none of them fit Jang Hyuk. Watching other couples laugh and try on clothes together makes him feel left out and a little embarrassed. At the macaron stand, the vendor recognizes Dune and gives her a discount. Jang Hyuk doesn't take any macarons, though. He's too caught up thinking about his size and feels self-conscious. Finally, the day of the vacation arrives. Dune waits outside the airport entrance, smiling and waving as Jang Hyuk jumps out of a taxi and runs toward her. She surprises him with a gift, matching sneakers just like hers. She laughs it off when he guesses her to make up for the shirts. Jang Hyuk puts them on right there, joking that he'll use them to lose weight for her, even jogging around to prove it. Suddenly, we cut forward in time. Jang Hyuk is now slim and healthy, running confidently through a park. Back at Daewon's apartment, where they live together, he makes breakfast for them both before heading out. On his way to work, he takes out the trash, now part of his daily routine. At the office, his boss announces he'll be sent to work under contract at a major corporation in Seoul. If he performs well, it could turn into a permanent position, an incredible chance. But Seoul is far from Incheon. Over lunch, Jang Hyuk tells Daewon about it, but before they can finish talking, her co-workers arrive. She quickly pulls away from him, nervous about being seen together, especially since someone thinks they've seen him before. A few days later, Jang Hyuk picks Daewon up from the hospital. He notices one of her co-workers is overweight and feels a twinge of jealousy. Trying to brush it off, he proudly shows Daewon the new car he bought. He promises he'll commute to Seoul every day so their lives don't have to change, and presents her with a new ring to replace the one she lost. On his first commute to Seoul, Jang Hyuk smiles to himself as traffic builds around him. He laughs at the other drivers stuck in their cars, thinking how smart he was to get an early start. At the new office, he's introduced to the team, and to Bo Young, another contract worker who seems sharp, competitive, and not particularly friendly. During lunch, the permanent staff exclude them, so he ends up eating with her, trying to make the best of it. That night, he vents to Daewon about Bo Young. She listens patiently and advises him to keep trying and show the team what he can do. Encouraged, Jang Hyuk buys coffee for everyone the next day. But Bo Young takes over, handing out the drinks herself and taking all the credit. Then she tells him he's working on the wrong part of the project, a complete lie. When he follows her advice, he gets scolded by his manager for messing up. Back home, Jang Hyuk rants again, not letting Daewon speak. She had her own long day, but he talks over her, leaving her to do all the planning for their next trip to Jeju by herself. When the time comes to present their project, Bo Young proudly steps forward and takes full credit for their idea. But just as she's wrapping up, Jang Hyuk interrupts to point out a flaw in the design, one serious enough to cause the bridge to collapse. The room goes quiet. The bosses take notice. Bo Young, clearly rattled, now has to go back and fix everything. Jang Hyuk watches with a smug sense of satisfaction as she scrambles, juggling new drafts and endless edits, while he slips out early each evening. Still, the back-and-forth trips between Seoul and Incheon start wearing him down. Most nights, he barely says hello before falling asleep the moment he walks through the door. Some mornings, Doon's already gone by the time he wakes up. During one phone call, they finally admit what's obvious. Commuting is exhausting. So they agree. If Jang Hyuk ends work late, he'll just stay at his rented room in Seoul and come home only on weekends. Meanwhile, Bo-young is falling apart. Her stress shows in everything. She pulls all-nighters at the office, naps in random chairs during the day, overeats to stay awake, and looks more disheveled each morning. Her clothes are stained, her hair's a mess, and she smells like old snacks and sweat. When Jang Hyuk casually tells her she's eating too much, Bo-young snaps. Tears well up as she breaks down, admitting she only eats because it's the one thing keeping her awake while she tries to fix the mess he left her with. Feeling guilty, Jang Hyuk decides to stay and help finish the project, completely forgetting about the messages Doon is sending, wondering if he's still coming home. The next day, the two present the completed project. The bosses are impressed and even scold the permanent team, saying they should learn from this duo. Later, the company throws a dinner to celebrate. Jang Hyuk skips drinking. His liver still isn't in the best shape, but he stays alert, keeping an eye on Bo-young, who drinks more than she should. When he finally gets home that night, it's incredibly late. The apartment is dark, and Doon is nowhere to be seen. She left earlier, called in to cover a shift at the hospital. On the phone, she sounds tired but warm, apologizing for not being there and gently reminding him to change the light bulb. He promises he will, but ends up falling asleep without doing it and leave for work the next morning before even thinking about it. At the office, the boss praises the teamwork between Jang Hyuk and Bo-young and assigns them another joint project. Things between them have grown more comfortable. They work well together now, and that leads to longer hours, late nights filled with quiet conversations, shared snacks, and inside jokes. But with every hour he spends in Seoul, there's one less for Doon. He cancels on her more and more. Some weeks, they barely see each other at all. For Doon, this is deeply frustrating. She's been meaning to tell him something important, something she only wants to say in person, but the right moment never seems to come. And now, with Jang Hyuk slipping further away, she worries that chance may never arrive. After wrapping up the second project successfully, Jang Hyuk and Bo-young head out for dinner to celebrate. Doon, who has been waiting for her boyfriend as he had promised, calls him to know where he is, so Jang Hyuk lies to her and tells her he needs to stay working late again. This time, Jang Hyuk does accept drinking. One evening, Bo-young tries to flirt with him, and this is the final kick Jang Hyuk needs to return home. As soon as he enters the apartment, he finds a bunch of trash bags in the hallway, and Doon asks him to take them out and to change the light bulb. This causes an argument to begin about how they're both too tired and the other should be helping. Doon thinks Jang Hyuk only comes over to rest, and Jang Hyuk thinks Doon is being self-centered. Suddenly, Doon confesses the important thing she wanted to tell him. She hasn't gotten her period, so Jang Hyuk uses the excuse of taking out the trash to be outside while he freaks out at the idea of being a father. The next day, he's too distracted by this to think properly. And after Doon calls him to tell him the doctor confirms she's 4 weeks pregnant, he gets in such a bad mood that he yells at Bo-young without meaning to, but at least he apologizes to her. He isn't there for their next presentation. He decides to be responsible, so he takes a day off to go to the OBGYN with Doon, who acts awkwardly when she's filing the paperwork with the name of the baby's guardian. Then, she asks him to wait for her outside, claiming she can handle it alone because she's a nurse. When she's done, he gives her a tight hug, but when they go home to cuddle, he keeps getting calls and texts from work. He ignores them because he wants to stay with her, but tired of hearing the phone, Doon tells him to go. At least this time, Jang Hyuk remembers to text her while he's away, and when the work hours are over, he doesn't stay extra hours with Bo-young. He leaves on time to be there with Doon. Jang Hyuk begins commuting between Incheon and Seoul every day, and this quickly takes a toll on him. He's so tired, he goes to bed early and barely spends time with Doon anyway, and keeps falling asleep at the office too. He begins being the same kind of guy getting ready in his car he used to make fun of and arrives late at work when he oversleeps, earning him a scolding. One evening, Bo-young points out they're falling back on their new project because he leaves early and convinces him to stay over. So Jang Hyuk once again starts going back home fewer and fewer days. When he finally goes out with Doon during a weekend, he spends their whole walk complaining about how he is tired, how he wants to go home, and telling Doon to shop faster, not even letting her stay for long at the macaron stand she wanted to try so badly. As they walk back to the car, he tells her to just buy things online because it's faster and Daeun starts crying, explaining she came to the market to spend time with him, not because she really needed to shop. He makes it sound like being with her is exhausting, even though she's tired from work and still puts in the effort. Jang-hyuk apologizes but accidentally calls her Boyoung, then drives off without realizing his slip. Hurt, Daeun asks him to pull over, but Jang-hyuk misunderstands and thinks she wants the fast food drive-thru. They end up arguing in front of the clerk. Daeun accuses him of cheating, and Jang-hyuk, offended, admits he's been coming over only because he felt sorry for her. Daeun then says she's terminated the pregnancy, and Jang-hyuk replies that him not caring about the baby, and things getting to this point, is on both of them. They leave without picking up any food. And after he drops her off, Jang-hyuk heads back to Seoul to live full-time in the apartment he rents there. The next day, the ring he bought for Daeun arrives in the mail, and he hides it in his pencil holder. One evening, he can't take it anymore and kisses Boyoung, which kicks off a relationship with her. They work together and hang out after hours too. But every time Jang-hyuk sees a nurse's uniform on the street or in a shop, he gets distracted. One afternoon, he's stunned to receive a message from the travel agency confirming his tickets to Jeju. He texts Daeun to say she can use them and bring whoever she wants, and notices her profile picture still reads Daeun loves Jang-hyuk. He can't stop thinking about her after that, especially when another message confirms the reservation, leaving him spaced out at work. During the final meeting of the year, the permanent team takes all the credit for their work, and neither Jang-hyuk nor Boyoung secures a future position. Later, at the company party, Jang-hyuk considers returning to his old job in Incheon, and Boyoung mentions she plans to study abroad. With Boyoung about to leave too, Jang-hyuk checks Daeun's profile again and sees she's heading to Jeju for Christmas. Deciding he must have a chance if she is still going through with the trip they planned, Jang Hae-yu rescues the ring from his office and takes a cab to the airport, where he stops the taxi just in time as Daeun waves, just like the beginning of the story. When he comes out of the car, however, he bumps into another man, the fat Jang Hae-yu that had hepatitis B and is now testing the sneakers. It turns out skinny Jang Hae-yu and fat Jang Hae-yu aren't the same person. Daeun met skinny Jang Hae-yu almost 2 years before the other one, and she also bonded with him when he was admitted to her hospital with a broken leg. They started seeing each other. Daeun also put stickers on his leg cast, bought for him the same matching sneakers, and went to Jeju with him for Christmas. Skinny Jang Hae-yu even moved to her apartment too. When he started being distant towards her, she found comfort in fat Jang Hae-yu's kindness, especially since later he would do all the things skinny Jang Hae-yu wouldn't, like changing the light bulb. Her pregnancy was the reason why she was so tired and napping with him, also why she quit coffee and smoking, and why she would steal food from fat Jang Hae-yu's plate. The nights she spent at the hospital while skinny Jang Hae-yu was away were spent with fat Jang Hae-yu, and it was fat Jang Hae-yu's name that she wrote as the baby's guardian. After she broke up with skinny Jang Hae-yu, she removed her ring on purpose, and then told fat Jang Hae-yu that she lost it. When skinny Jang Hae-yu told her she could have the tickets, she used the chance to invite fat Jang Hae-yu to go with her instead. Back in the present, Daeun checks on fat Jang Hae-yu and helps him stand up. She does see skinny Jang Hae-yu, but totally ignores him, walking into the airport to leave with her friend without a word. Furious, skinny Jang Hae-yu insults her and kicks a trash can before going back to the company party, only to discover Boyoung has won a Jeju vacation for 2. Overwhelmed by the irony, Jang Hae-yu decides all this mess is his old boss' fault for having him sent here, then takes out the ring and proposes to Boyoung as he tells her he loves her. Boyoung turns him down, saying she's not quite there yet, and Jang Hae-yu spends the rest of the night drinking.